My partner won't stop comparing me to his ex, and I'm getting tired of competing with the ghost. I'm 29. My boyfriend, Lucas, is 32. We've been together for a year and a half, living together for 6 months. And I think I'm in a relationship with both him and his ex-girlfriend. I've never even met her.
But I know how she laughed.
I know what clothes she wore. I know the way she liked her eggs. I know what perfume she used, how she curled her hair, that she did yoga every morning and meditated with him after dinner. I know how great she was with his family. How good she was at letting things go, how clean she kept their apartment. Because Lucas tells me, constantly. Sometimes it's casual. Sometimes it's passive-aggressive. Sometimes it's so subtle, I don't even catch it until I'm lying in bed hours later, wondering why I feel so off. But no matter what form it takes, it's always there, this undercurrent of comparison, like I'm in some twisted emotional addiction and I keep missing the mark. It started small, almost innocently. Our second month of dating, he said something like, "It's cute how you hate running. My ex used to run marathons." I laughed. I joked, "Well, she's clearly got one up on me." And he laughed too. I let it go. Then came more. She always made this amazing quinoa bowl, you'd love it. Kayla used to have this trick for getting red wine out of the carpet. My ex would have had a whole Pinterest board for this party. Kayla. That's her name. Kayla with the flawless skin and the naturally wavy hair and the long-distance running medals. Kayla, who cooked vegan. A Kayla who had a perfect relationship with her mom. A Kayla who, despite being so spiritual, also had a freaky side in bed that Lucas felt very comfortable reminiscing about after 2 glasses of wine. And me? I don't like running. I eat chicken nuggets when I'm sad. My hair gets frizzy in the rain. I have a strained relationship with my mom, and I forget to fold laundry when I'm anxious. I meditate maybe once a month, usually when my period is about to start and I feel like I'm going to crawl out of my skin. I didn't realize how much I'd started shaping myself around a woman I'd never met. A few months ago, I tried to talk to him about it. We were cooking dinner. He was sitting on the counter scrolling through Instagram. I said, "Hey, can I ask you something kind of sensitive?" He looked up.
Sure.
"You mention Kayla a lot." He blinked. "What do you mean?" "Just she comes up. A lot. I feel like I know her better than I know some of my own friends." He laughed. Actually laughed. "I don't talk about her that much." "You do, though." He rolled his eyes. "Okay, so I bring her up sometimes." "So what?" "We were together for 4 years. She was a huge part of my life." "I get that," I said. "But it feels like you're still kind of emotionally entangled." "Jesus," he said. "You're seriously jealous of my ex?" And just like that, I was the problem. Not his fixation on a woman he broke up with over a year before we met. Not the constant, unprompted comparisons.
No.
I was jealous. I was insecure. He kissed my forehead like I was a child and changed the subject. I let it go, or I tried to, but it didn't stop. A few weeks later, we were at Target looking at mugs. I picked up this bright, colorful one with a rainbow handle and a smiley face. I was holding it to my chest, smiling like a dork. He goes, "Huh, that's funny." Kayla loved cheesy mugs like that. She had a whole collection. I put it back on the shelf. He didn't notice. Or maybe he did and didn't care. You know what's wild? I haven't even told you the worst part yet. It's his bedroom. Or what used to be his and Kayla's bedroom. See, when we moved in together, I moved into his apartment. We had talked about getting a place together, but financially, it made more sense for me to move in. It's bigger, it's close to both our jobs, and he had a decent setup already. What I didn't realize is that nothing in that apartment had changed since she left.
Same sheets.
Same pillows. Same candle holders. Same stupid salt lamp she bought for energy. Same bookshelf with all the same books she alphabetized. Same photo in the hallway, not of her, but of a beach she used to love. He told me that when they broke up, he kept it because it was a nice memory. I tried to suggest we redecorate. He said I was being territorial. I asked if we could at least change the sheets. He said they were perfectly fine and super comfy. The thing is, I don't think he even realizes how much of her is still here. How loud her presence is in the silence between us. How I can feel her in the walls. In his tone. In the way he sometimes looks at me like he's scanning for something familiar and not finding it. And then last month, we fought. For real. It started because I burned dinner. Nothing dramatic. I was tired, distracted, and put the oven too high. The chicken dried out, and the rice was kind of crunchy. I laughed it off and made a joke about Postmates. He didn't laugh. Instead, he sighed and said, "Kayla used to cook this amazing lemon chicken. Never messed it up once." I just stared at him, and he didn't even notice. He just kept going on about how she had a way with spices and how she used to make this wild mushroom risotto that could beat a five-star restaurant. And something in me snapped. I said, "Then maybe you should call her." He paused.
What?
If she was so perfect, if everything she did was so amazing, why don't you just call her? He stared at me like I was insane. Jesus, you're being dramatic. No, I said. I'm being honest. I'm tired of being second place to someone who's not even here. That's not what's happening, he said. Yes, it is. You compare me to her constantly. Do you even realize that? Do you know how humiliating it is to feel like you're not measuring up to someone who left your life over 2 years ago? He said, "You're being sensitive. This is all in your head." And I said, "No, it's not." We didn't speak the rest of the night. He slept on the couch. The next morning, he made coffee like nothing happened. Asked me if I wanted pancakes. I didn't answer. I started packing a small bag. Just some clothes, my charger, my journal. He asked me where I was going. I said I didn't know. I ended up crashing at my friend Sarah's place. She has a dog and a big couch and 0 exes haunting her furniture. It's been a week. He's texted.
He's called.
He sent one of those obnoxious "I miss you" memes with a sad cat and a broken heart. He keeps saying, "I didn't realize it was affecting you so much." And that's the thing, isn't it? He didn't realize. Because he never had to. Because I was so busy trying to compete with a ghost that I stopped asking why I had to compete at all. Now I'm sitting here, looking at my phone. He sent me a long text.
Said he wants to talk.
Said he gets it now. Said he wants to move forward.
But I don't know if I can.
I don't know how to unhear everything I've heard. I don't know how to unknow the version of myself I became just trying to win his approval. And I really, truly don't know if I can ever stop feeling like Kayla is still in the room, even when I'm the only one standing there. Lucas texted again last night. I know IF *, ket up.
I didn't mean to make you feel like that.
Can we talk, please? I stared at the screen for a long time. Not out of anger, but exhaustion. Emotional fatigue, I guess. This whole relationship was starting to feel like a job I was constantly failing at. Still, I said yes. We met at the park. Neutral ground.
Public.
Open. I think part of me wanted to be in a place where I wouldn't cry. Parks are too sunny for crying. When I saw him, I didn't feel the jolt I expected. He looked like Lucas, my Lucas. Hoodie, jeans, sneakers, messy hair like he ran his hands through it 10 times before showing up. But something was missing. Or maybe something had returned to me. He hugged me like I was already halfway gone. "Thank you for coming," he said quietly. I nodded. I wasn't sure I would. "I wouldn't have blamed you," he said. "I was an ass." We sat on a bench. There were kids playing behind us. A couple throwing a frisbee. Someone's dog barked joyfully, sprinting across the grass. Lucas turned toward me. "I'm sorry," he said. "Really, deeply sorry." I looked at him, but didn't say anything yet. I didn't realize how often I talked about her. It just slipped out. "I swear, I wasn't comparing you on purpose." "But you were comparing me," I said. That part wasn't in my head.
He winced.
"I know. I've been thinking about it a lot. And I realize now that I didn't fully move on. Not emotionally. I thought I had. But I didn't. I kept holding on to things, holding on to her. And that wasn't fair to you." I didn't respond right away. He continued. I was comfortable with her. And when we broke up, I felt like I lost control of everything. So when I met you and we started building something new, I didn't realize I was trying to recreate what I lost instead of appreciating what I had. He rubbed his hands together like he was cold. I miss you. I miss us. I want to be better. I'll go to therapy. I'll stop bringing her up. I'll change the apartment. Hell, I'll burn the goddamn salt lamp. I laughed. A small, tired laugh. He smiled like it gave him hope. The thing is, I believe him. I believe he means what he says. I believe he's sorry. But being sorry isn't the same as being safe. Being willing to change isn't the same as already having changed. And suddenly, I didn't want to gamble my mental peace on promises again. I need time, I said. He looked confused. I thought that's what this week was.
No.
This week was survival. This week was me trying to figure out if I'm insane or just waking up. Waking up to what? That I feel better without you. He blinked like I slapped him. I didn't mean it to hurt. I meant it to be honest. When I'm not around you, I said, I don't feel like I'm walking on emotional eggshells. I don't second guess if I'm good enough. I don't feel like I have to perform to deserve affection. I didn't know I made you feel that way, he said, voice soft. That's the problem, Lucas. You didn't know. And I didn't even know I was sinking until I started to breathe again. We walked in silence for a while after that, just down a gravel path with trees overhead and leaves crunching under our feet. October sunlight is weirdly forgiving, warm, but sad in a beautiful way. I'm not saying it's over, I said eventually, but I'm saying I'm not going back yet. He nodded slowly. Okay. I need to figure out who I am without your voice in my head. I get it. I don't know if he does. But he let me go. This time, without argument. Back at Sarah's, something shifted in me. I started sleeping through the night.
Deeply.
No more tight chest at 3 a.m. No more waking up from anxiety dreams about being late or lost or stuck. I found my journal and started writing again. Pages and pages of things I hadn't said out loud in months. I made the stupid rainbow mug mine. Bought it the next day after our talk and drank coffee out of it while watching reruns of old shows I love, but Lucas used to make fun of. I didn't feel guilty for eating cereal for dinner, or for watching trashy reality TV, or for not making the bed. I texted friends I hadn't seen in ages. I went for walks just to breathe. I stood barefoot in the backyard and let the grass tickle my feet like I used to when I was a teenager. And for the first time in I don't know how long, I didn't feel less than. I didn't feel like a placeholder, or a downgrade, or a temporary solution to a permanent wound. I just felt like me. Sarah noticed. You're glowing, she said one morning, handing me coffee. Like, actually glowing. Are you seeing someone? I laughed.
No.
I'm not seeing someone. She raised an eyebrow. I'm not seeing him, I clarified. She smiled.
Good.
You needed air. I didn't know how badly, I said. You never do until you're out of the room. It's a weird thing to mourn someone who's still alive. Weirder still when they're texting you every couple of days to check in and say goodnight and make sure you're okay. He doesn't push. He's being respectful. But I can feel the clock ticking behind every message. He's waiting for me to come back. And the thing is, I haven't decided if I will. I love him. I do. But I'm starting to realize that love isn't always enough when the relationship makes you feel smaller than yourself. There were moments with Lucas where I felt like I was thriving, laughing, in sync. But now that I'm on my own, I can see those moments were the exception, not the rule. It's like when you stop wearing a tight pair of shoes. You don't realize how much they were hurting your feet until you finally take them off. You don't realize the pain wasn't normal, it was just constant. This morning, I stood in front of the mirror and actually liked what I saw. Not because I looked better. I didn't. But because I looked relaxed. My shoulders were lower. My face was softer. And I realized I haven't cried in 4 days. 4
days.
That shouldn't be a milestone in a healthy relationship. So here I am, sitting on the patio, typing all this out because I think I needed to read my own words back to myself. Lucas says he wants to change. Maybe he will. But I've started changing too. And I'm not sure if the woman I'm becoming will ever want to go back to being the version of me who begged for room in someone else's heart. I don't want to compete with anyone anymore, especially not someone who's already gone. Update. I wasn't planning to fall for anyone. Not after Lucas. Not after everything. I was just starting to feel okay again, like I could breathe in a room without shrinking, like I could walk past a mirror and not look for something to fix. Then came Theo. He was sitting across from me at a mutual friend's dinner, asking what kind of books I liked, and I was weirdly nervous to answer. Because I usually get mocked for my reading tastes, Lucas used to call them therapy for girls who cry too much. But Theo just listened, smiled, asked if I had a favorite line. No judgment. No smirk. No weird energy.
Just calm.
I didn't feel sparks. I felt calm. And honestly, after everything, that felt like magic. We started talking after that night. Nothing intense. Just long texts about music and weekend plans, and what we thought about dumb stuff like pineapple on pizza. There was no "what are we?" No weird power games. No walking on eggshells. I didn't realize how different that was until it became my new normal. A few weeks in, I caught myself smiling while making coffee. And I froze. Because I realized I hadn't thought about Lucas all day. Not in a bitter way. Not like I was trying not to think about him. He just wasn't there. He used to live in my head 24/7 even after I left. The questions, the guilt, the second-guessing. Wondering if I overreacted. Wondering if I made it all up. Wondering if he'd changed. But suddenly my mind felt quiet.
Peaceful even.
I was just living my life. It scared me how good that felt. Theo and I didn't have a moment. We just kept showing up for each other until it felt like we'd always been doing this. He brings me snacks when I'm stressed. He remembers how I take my tea. He never talks over me. Never makes me feel like I need to earn his attention. I feel safe around him in a way I didn't even know I was missing before. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about not having to prove I deserved love every 5 seconds. Then last week, I saw Lucas. I was coming out of the grocery store, arms full of bags, walking back to Theo's car. He was waiting for me at the curb. I had just run back in for lemons. And there Lucas was, right in front of me. Same hoodie, same messy hair, but something in his face looked tired. Like all the smug confidence had drained out of him.
Hey, he said.
Hi, I said. My stomach dropped, but I kept walking. You look different. I feel different. We stood there awkwardly. I wasn't planning to say anything else. But I paused. Looked at him. I was gonna reach out eventually, I said. To say goodbye. Properly. He blinked. That's it? You're just gone. I've been gone, Lucas. You just didn't notice. He laughed a little, but it didn't reach his eyes. You replaced me real fast. There it was. Not, I'm glad you're doing okay. Not, I'm sorry again for how I made you feel. Just guilt. Like I owed him something. I shrugged. You didn't exactly make it hard. That night, he texted. I still think about you every night. Can't believe it was that easy for you. I didn't reply. Then, he texted me again the next day. And the next. Then he messaged Theo. I don't know how he got his number. Probably asked one of our old mutuals under some fake reason. Theo showed me the messages. Stuff like, just letting you know who you're really dating. She's good at pretending to be innocent. Ask her about the guy she used to text behind my back. She cheated, emotionally at the very least. You're just her rebound. I was shaking when I read them. Not because any of it was true, but because it was just so mean. So desperate. So beneath whatever version of Lucas I thought still existed in there. Theo didn't say much. He just looked at me and asked, want me to block him? Or, do you want to? I blocked him. On everything. No more little back doors he could sneak through. No more maybe conversations. No more waiting to be haunted. The next morning I woke up, made my coffee, and played my favorite playlist out loud. I danced in the kitchen like an idiot while Theo made eggs. And for the first time in a really long time, I didn't feel broken. I didn't feel like someone who got away. I felt like someone who came back to herself. I don't hate Lucas. I don't even think he's a terrible person. But I think he wanted control more than he wanted love. I think he loved being comfortable more than he loved me. And I think he missed the version of me who tolerated being compared to someone else, not the one who finally walked away. And maybe that's why I can't even be angry now. I'm just done. Really, really done. I don't know what happens next with Theo. But even if we don't make it forever, I'll never forget how it felt to be seen by someone without having to earn it. That's the new standard now. And I'm never going back to less. Update. I never thought I'd move in with someone again. After Lucas, I told myself I needed at least a year before even considering it. I wanted to be sure I wasn't just running from loneliness into comfort. But with Theo, it wasn't like that. It never felt like escape. It felt like arriving somewhere solid. Like coming home. It happened slowly. My overnight bag turned into a drawer. The drawer turned into a shelf. One day, I brought over my favorite candle and realized I hadn't been back to my apartment in almost a week. When Theo asked if I wanted to make it official, he didn't do some big speech. He just looked at me while we were folding laundry and said, "I feel better when you're here." You? I nodded.
Yeah.
Me too. And that was it.
Simple.
Easy. No games. No conditions. The night before I moved in fully, I went back to my place alone to box up what was left. Some clothes, books, and a few random kitchen things. When I pulled into the parking lot, Lucas was there, sitting on the hood of his car like some scene out of a bad movie. I stopped walking halfway up the path. He stood up. "Can we talk?" he asked. I sighed. "Lucas, I don't think. It's just 5 minutes." I hesitated, but I was tired of running. And I didn't want to leave anything unsaid before this next chapter. So I said, "Fine. 5 minutes." He didn't start with an apology. He started with, "I miss you." Then, "I think about you every night. I know I messed up. I should have gone to therapy sooner. I still love you." I stayed quiet. My heart was beating hard, but not from feelings. From nerves. From that old reflex to shrink when someone raised their voice, even though he wasn't yelling. Then came the real reason he was there. "I think you're making a mistake. With him." There it was. Not love.
Control.
"Lucas," I said calmly, "I'm not yours anymore. You don't get to say things like that." "You don't even know him," he snapped. "I know enough. I know he never made me feel second best."
He scoffed. Right.
"And you never compared me to anyone?" I blinked.
No.
"Because I didn't bring someone else's ghost into our bed every time we fought." That hit him. He looked away. "You're really done?" he asked, quieter. I was done the second I realized peace wasn't supposed to feel like guilt. He stepped closer. "I can't lose you," he whispered. "You already did." And I turned to walk back to my car. He didn't follow. But that wasn't the last of it. A few days later, Theo got an email. From a burner address. Fake name. No subject line. But we both knew who it was. The message was full of vague accusations, suggesting I had unfinished business and that Theo should know the truth. It was long, dramatic, and almost laughably desperate. But I wasn't laughing. I was shaking again. Because it reminded me of who I used to be, someone afraid of not being believed. Someone constantly cleaning up someone else's emotional mess. Theo didn't even finish reading it. He just deleted it, then looked at me and said, "Do you want to report him or just keep blocking?" I started crying. Because that question, "Do you want to?" meant more than I can explain. It meant this wasn't my mess to fix alone anymore. It meant someone was standing next to me, not above me. We didn't hear from Lucas after that. He disappeared, finally. And it was like a final string had been cut. The one I didn't even know was still attached to my ankle, dragging behind me like a ghost. A few weeks later, I ran into someone I never expected to meet. Kayla. Yeah, that Kayla. I was at a coffee shop grabbing lattes for Theo and me. I recognized her the second she walked in, though I don't know how. Maybe from old photos Lucas showed me, or the way she carried herself. She saw me too. She paused for a second, then walked over. "Hey," she said. "You're?" "Yeah," I nodded. I'm her. She smiled, kind of awkward. Didn't expect to run into you. Same. There was a pause. Then she said, I heard what happened. I'm sorry. I blinked. What do you mean? With Lucas, she said. The guilt-tripping, the comparisons, the sabotage. All of it. You knew? She nodded. Some of it. Not all. But I've lived parts of it. Trust me. I didn't expect the lump in my throat. Or how weirdly validating it felt to be seen by someone who had been through it too. He made you feel like you were in competition with me, didn't he? She asked. I nodded slowly.
Kayla looked sad.
He did the same to me. With his ex before me. And just like that, something clicked.
It was never about me.
Or her. Or any of us. Lucas had been stuck in a loop. Always holding on to some past version of perfect and punishing whoever came next for not living up to it. Kayla put her hand on my arm and said, I'm glad you got out. Me too, I whispered. And meant it more than anything. Now I wake up in a warm bed next to someone who never makes me feel like I'm being measured. I leave notes in Theo's lunch. He makes me pancakes on Sundays. We argue about who gets to control the playlist but laugh about it 5 minutes later. I don't feel anxious every time my phone buzzes. I don't rehearse conversations in my head before speaking. I don't feel like I'm competing with a ghost anymore. I'm just here. Present. Chosen. That chapter of my life is over. And this time, I'm the one who closed the book.